So now that the beta for Fallout 76 has been concluded, I thought I'd share my opinions on the game and whether it's worth a purchase or not. So the best way to describe Fallout 76 is a modern Fallout game where the main storyline has been completed, you've exhausted all possible outcomes through faction quests, and now you're just wandering around. So take Fallout 4 for example. You've concluded the main story quest and you don't want to do it anymore, but you still want to play your character. So you end up wandering around the wasteland, just killing things, discovering new locations, collecting new gear, finishing off little side quests you find, and of course building your settlement. And that's basically what Fallout 76 is. Yes, there is a main storyline in the game, yes there are a few quests every now and again, it still feels like a post-game Fallout. So running the game on a 1050 Ti, the game defaulted to ultra settings. Now that was perfectly playable while outside the vault, it stuck around about 60 frames a second, but it wasn't until I got into the world did the frame rate start to dip. Resorting to medium seemed to be the best bet at the moment, although it did lead to some graphical errors, as you can probably see in the background of this video, where the textures start flashing continuously, which is very much an eyesore, which I hope they fix. But this is the beta, so bugs were to be expected. So the frame rate itself does seem a little bit all over the place, depending on where you are, and it also did vary between betas. Sometimes it was very good and sometimes it was very bad, but the last beta the frame rate did seem to have an overall improvement. So if you have a similar PC, it was a 1050 Ti 4 gigs, an i5 3330 which is a 3 GHz quad core and 8 gigs of potato RAM, then you're probably going to be alright with this game. If you have a weaker system or not, I'm not sure how well it will go, because the actual graphical settings for like the textures and shadows didn't seem to have too much of an impact on the frame rate. It just seemed more like the game was a little bit unoptimized. In terms of content, let's start off with the map. So the map seems a lot smaller than it does when you actually open up the map. That's something that me and my friends discovered as we were wandering around. We found ourselves on the opposite side of the map very quickly, although the map seems like it's a lot bigger than it is. This could simply be the lack of locations, the lack of distractions through side quests and all that, but we just couldn't put our finger on it. Although the map size does seem quite adequate for the game in itself, being there's only roughly 24 players in a match. So there are NPCs all around the world which do have quests for you to do. In the video that you're watching, I go to the pumpkin patch where there's an NPC called Jack-O-Lantern who asked me to collect some pumpkins. It's a very rudimentary quest which you can just pick up the pumpkins before you go there and turn them in, but it is still a nice little reward you get out of it at the end, which are pumpkin grenades, which are very powerful. So there are a few NPCs around. There's no human NPCs, they're all generally robots. Sometimes they roam around, sometimes they're in fixed positions, and sometimes you have to activate your radio in order to tune into a certain signal to start the quest, which will lead you to them. Like I said before, there is a main storyline that takes you around the map, although I didn't touch it. I believe it goes through holotapes and all that as you discover what happened to the vault and what's going on and all that. There is a small problem, as I'm watching this video, hopefully it lines up with my audio. There was a small problem of high level enemies being in low level zones. There was like a scorch beast in an area surrounded with level 3 enemies, and that thing is absolutely dangerous to go near. You can't hide in the building if you aggro it, because it will just carpet bomb the area with poison. That is one thing that I'll touch on right now. So the enemy levels don't seem very consistent. For example, a level 3 feral ghoul could take about 10 hits to kill with a shotgun at point blank, yet a level 15 super mutant I can one shot with a pistol. There does seem a little bit of inconsistency with that, and weapons do seem a little bit odd in terms of their damage. Like for example, sometimes a pistol is so much more stronger than a hunting rifle for no reason, but whatever, I'm sure that'll be ironed out. Weapons and armor do have level locks on them, which is very annoying. I found the crossbow during my gameplay, but could not use it because it required level 15. Which is very annoying. I do hope they just remove the level cap for weapons, because it wasn't that powerful. That's one thing I noticed. The higher level stuff is not that powerful compared to the stuff you can get at the start of the game. It just seems like they're gating you from accessing it to keep you playing. As for leveling up and all that, I quite like this whole system. Yes, it's not as good as Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3, but the perk deck system I do enjoy. Now when you level up, you get a choice of one of your specials, and choosing it will increase that special amount. And what that means is when you have a perk card, you can only have Like a perk card, for example, takes up 1 slot. If you have 5 points in charisma, then you can have up to 5 cards in that area. Or if you say have a level 2 card and 3 level 1 cards, you could do that instead. Now, perk cards are not permanent and you can swap them out at any time, which is something that I see a lot of misinformation regarding perk decks, because you can just swap them out at any time. For example, I've set up my character in this video to be more solo oriented. I'm using Lone Survivor or Lone Wolf, whatever it is called, Lone Adventurer, where I do more damage, take less damage when alone. But if I'm in a party, I'll use perks which benefit me when I'm in a party, like taking damage reduction per teammate I'm with. And then you can also like swap stuff out. If you're going to craft, you can just get rid of all your combat stuff and just switch it over for crafting perks. Or if you need to unlock a vault, you can just easily just on the fly just switch your perk cards out to unlock that vault and then just switch it back. It's very easy, although I wish there was some way to have a profile for perk cards so I didn't have to keep switching them out manually one by one and could just flip them over at the click of a button. So one of the more bigger things with Fallout 76 is of course the PvP, which I have yet to see any form of. Despite playing a lot of the beta, I never saw a single piece of PvP, not even when I tuned into the Hunter-Hunted game mode. There was just no one doing it. The fact that you can put pacifist mode and the fact that there's really no rewards in engaging in PvP does seem to make it very redundant. Yes, it's nice if you want to do that, and if you want to PvP with a friend, you can, but in general gameplay, there is no reason to. If you do get hit by another player who wants to fight you, you take so little damage to the point where you can just fast travel away and there's nothing they can do about it. As for the camp system, I didn't really do much with it. I just presume it's going to be like a mini settlement for you to set up and do whatever. So I didn't really play around with that. I know my friends did. In the background video, you'll probably see me clearing out the Red Rocket Mega Stop, which if you do successfully clear out, you can claim it as your own, but other players can try and take it back, which they won't because they don't want the PvP. My friend did take over a garage, which we successfully defended from waves of like enemies, but no one came over to try and contest it away from us. So there's that if you want to build. In terms of the actual survival aspect, I do find that the whole hunger and thirst thing is to try and force you to go out into the world. There's very little to do about it, it's largely ignored. Yes, you'll have to eventually cook some food, boil some water to ensure you don't get major radiation, but it still seems like something there just to keep you going out into the world and collecting food and drinks, but like I said, you can just largely ignore it, it's nothing much. The weight system in this game is very annoying on your character. There's a lot of stuff that I wish I could have picked up, but I simply couldn't because it just weighed too much, and when you weigh too much, your AP drains, allowing you to move at full speed, but once your AP is all gone, then you just start walking everywhere and it's just very annoying. Your stash limit, I haven't had a problem with my stash limit at all yet. I've only simply been storing junk in it, haven't really had any weapons or stuff to store in there, but I can see it getting very annoying later on. Since you are only limited to 400 slots, it can become annoying the more you spend in this game and the more you store in that, so hopefully they'll fix that up. But overall, I actually enjoyed my experience playing this game. I don't get a lot of the negativity, it just seems like more Fallout. So if that's what you're after simply after for some more Fallout, just a change of tune from Fallout 4, New Vegas or Fallout 3, then this is probably something straight up your street. Yes, it is a little bit pricey for what they're offering, but they're going to be adding in more content in the future, so hopefully it'll be more fleshed out. But as it stands right now, it's very enjoyable, there's enough to keep you going, and the fact that there are other players around doesn't mean anything really. I've never really had much interaction with other players because everyone just seems to actively avoid each other. The whole microphone issue is still something they really need to resolve. It's absolutely annoying because you can only have your microphone on or off. If you turn it off, you can't hear anyone. If you have it on, every single sound is going to be transmitted through your microphone. So if you use speakers, everyone else is going to hear that and it just simply takes you out of the immersion of the game. So hopefully they can implement a push to talk. A chat box would also be very welcomed, especially for those who can't hear and are simply deaf. But as it stands, like I said, it's an enjoyable game if you like Fallout. It does have its problems, there is a little bit of a performance issue, but overall, if you liked Fallout, then this is going to be something straight up your street. So that's my opinion on Fallout 76. I hope this video has been helpful, and I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.